The siege of Lal Masjid, which was adjacent to the Jamia Hafsa Madrasa complex in Islamabad, took place in July 2007 between radical Islamist militants and the government of Pakistan led by President Pervez Musharraf. The mosque was established in 1965 by Maulana Qari Abdullah, and under his leadership, the mosque began to acquire a reputation for radicalism, attracting hardline students. In 1998, Maulana Qari Abdullah, who was believed to be a close associate of General Ziaul Haq, was killed at the mosque. Following his death, his sons Maulana Abdul Aziz and Maulana Abdul Rashid Ghazi took charge of the mosque. After President Musharraf announced his support for the US-led war on terror post 9/11, hardliners of the Lal Masjid began to display their street powers and at times resorted to violence. Subsequently, one of the brothers issued a fatwa which declared that the soldiers of the Pakistan army who had died while fighting in Waziristan were not martyrs. Later, Rashid Ghazi's links with Al-Qaeda were exposed, and students and mosque leaders continued to challenge the Pakistani government's authority by calling for their own version of Islamic law to prevail over the country, and to end cooperation with the United States. Yet, the government chose to pay no attention to these developments. Matters came to a head and could no longer be ignored when in early 2007, female students of Jamia Hafsa forcefully took control of a children's library. After that, both men and women from the mosque, armed with sticks and automatic guns, began to attack music shops and alleged prostitution dens in the capital. The government finally retaliated, albeit by initiating negotiations with Abdul Aziz and his brother, who were in no mood to compromise, and threatened the government with a spate of suicide bombings if it launched a military operation against the mosque. As a result, parliamentary forces and at a later stage, army troops were deployed around the complex in the first days of July. Maulana Aziz was arrested while trying to flee the place. On July 7th, Musharraf gave an ultimatum, surrender or die, which resulted in the launch of Operation Silence on July 10th. A day-long battle took place, resulting in the death of more than 100 people, including many militants and Maulana Ghazi, and claimed the lives of 11 armed forces personnel.
President Pervez Musharraf has said that the government is determined not to allow any mosque or madrasa to repeat the doings of the Lal Masjid. He said this was a time of sorrow and not one to celebrate. Addressing the nation, the president called on the people to stand up and support the government against the militant school of thought.
मैं तमाम एतदाल पसंद लोगों से, पॉपुलेशन से अपील करता हूँ कि वो उठें और हुकूमत का साथ दें। इन भटके हुए अनासिर की सोच और ज़हनियत को बदलने में हुकूमत का हाथ बटाएं।
Musharraf claimed that the Islamic ideology stresses on the importance of human life and opposes any type of militancy. The president argued that the military could have conducted an operation on the very first day, but that option was left out in order to avoid bloodshed.
चाहे इन्होंने लोगों को मारा, शहीद किया, रेंजर को, और फिर वो कर्नल को जो शहीद किया, कर्नल हारून को, बिल्डिंग्स जलाई, लोगों को अगवा किया, पुलिसमैन को अगवा किया, हथियार छीन लिए गए, आग लगाई गई। इन सब से इन्हें आम माफी मिले। और बाद में, जो शुरू में बात ये नहीं थी, कहने लगे यहाँ फॉरेनर्स हैं, उन फॉरेनर्स को भी सेफ पैसेज मिले। ये हुकूमत कैसे मान सकती थी ये बातें? ये कैसे हुकूमत के ऊपर कोई डिक्टेशन इन बातों का हो सकता था? तो लिहाजा ये टॉक्स फेल हुई और ऑपरेशन लॉन्च हुआ।
Musharraf claimed that the strategy adopted by the government proved instrumental in saving the lives of more than 3,000 people.
Maulana Abdul Aziz was released on April 16, 2009 by the Pakistani Supreme Court and was greeted by throngs of supporters. On September 24, 2013, he was acquitted from his last case. Despite receiving praise from the West, particularly President George Bush and Prime Minister Gordon Brown, Musharraf's domestic position weakened, and the danger of civil strife increased against the backdrop of a series of devastating terrorist attacks that took place following the Lal Masjid siege.